Now, what would you do if the state said it was going to buy your home to build a road and you had no choice in the matter? And what if, after making this announcement, nothing happened for almost 13 years? Well, that's the reality facing 54 families in Galway whose houses are on the route for the city's ring road. Since the plan was published, homeowners have been left in limbo, unable to move on with their lives and with no idea of what the future holds. With the government promising more major infrastructure projects, families in Galway say compulsory purchase legislation is not fit for purpose and must be changed. In a moment, we'll discuss that here in studio. But first, last week I went to Galway to speak to some of the homeowners affected.
After 2 decades of false starts, hundreds of objections and multiple legal challenges, the N6 Galway City Outer Ring Road has been given the green light. Meanwhile, there are dozens of families facing compulsory purchase orders who say they have been living in a state of limbo for years.
This is the parish of Castlegar in County Galway. 12 years ago, 54 families across the city were told that the ring road would be running through their homes. Since then, they've been stuck in limbo. They can't move, they can't sell. In April, they were told the road is definitely going ahead. A compulsory purchase order, or CPO, gives public bodies the legal right to take land or property without the owner's consent if it's deemed necessary to build public infrastructure.
I don't have an opinion on the road. The road is done and dusted. They had public consultations in the end of 2014, going into 2015, where they had the various routes for public consultation. We were told we were on that emerging preferred route in 2015, and they said, oh yeah, this is the road, you're on it, and we'll be going to planning in July 2016.
10 years ago.
10 years ago. When we started this process, I was in my 50s. I'm now in my 70s. So that's a big chunk of your ageing life. The current CPO process is broken. It is certainly not fit for purpose if you're dealing with people's homes. And, you know, if you're going to do this, you take the people out at the start. And if the project doesn't go ahead, let them take the hit, not let the people take the hit.
But the people did take the hit. There was no planning application until 2018. It got approval in 2021, only to be rescinded when it emerged the impact on the state's climate action plan hadn't been considered. The application was readmitted and finally approved this April, leaving an ageing community facing imminent eviction.
So they're taking out 54 houses. That's 54 family houses. So nearly all of them are bungalows. Nearly all of them are people in their 60s and 70s. The only sort of planning you'll get now in the city area is high density. So in essence, it'll be second-hand houses. The last time I looked on Daft, there was 8 detached houses for sale in Galway City.
54 people looking.
And 54 people looking. So we're all going to be competing for the same houses. There's about 10 of us that we don't want to go anywhere else. We have a community, and we said, give us a plot of land, build us 10 bungalows with a little bit of a garden. Don't you have to be as big as what we've got, and a shed, and you know, and we'll go there and not make any noise. So that's been put to them often, and because you're talking to people who can't make decisions, it goes nowhere.
Homeowners found themselves caught in limbo. They couldn't sell with the CPO process hanging over them, and renovation seemed like money down the drain. And there's the emotional wrench then, isn't there, of the home that you've lived in for the last 40 years. And you were walking me around the garden earlier, and there's trees in this garden that have a lot of meaning to you.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about the trees?
Yeah, the oak down there at the bottom, that was an oak that came from Balishka in Spiddle, where my father was from, and he gave us that oak, and we planted it when we moved into the house in 1985. So that's been there 41 years. I have a plant in the front that my sister bought me when we moved into the house, which is a rowan tree. She died in 2016, so. So.
For Loretta Needham, Dee's neighbour, the loss of community is especially hard to take.
Everybody wants a road in Galway. I'm not against progress in Galway. I'm not saying whether the road is right or wrong. That's not my shot. But what I'm saying is wrong is the way we were left waiting so many years, stressed out, not knowing whether we were moving, not knowing whether we weren't moving. You know, there was years of silence, nothing. Then the hearing came about, and that was a shock to me. There was Bord Panola, 3 people at the top. They were actually at the top, and all the householders were on the right, and forgive me for saying, but all the suits were on the left, the experts, and we had to go up. It was like court. It's like we had done something wrong, and we had to go up and make our case. I'm looking for security in my old age for me and my husband. We got married very late in life, and when this started, all our health was good, and we thought we could live down the country, but his health is very bad now. He has to go to appointments literally 3 to 4 times a week. So we need to be near Galway, we need to be near the hospitals. He goes to every single one of them. I'm very bitter about it because it has affected relationships as well with the people, because, you know, I become the road. I want to get on with my life, but I'm still dragged back into this, and it looks like it's going to go on for another couple of years.
Marie O'Donovan says the reality that she'll soon have to leave her childhood home only really hit her this April.
In 1976, my dad bought this site and built this house. We've been here since, family home. My children are 4th generation here. It's just a very special place.
How do you put a value on all that?
I don't think you can. It's priceless, like it's emotions. It's a lifetime of memories. It's 50 years of memories in this house. You know, I'm my whole life in Castlegar, like I'm 67. So it's how do you put an attachment, how do you put a value on that, on losing all that, you know? I don't think you can. We have tried to be proactive. In 2018, we met with the city manager, and we asked him to look at solutions for us. We said, can you find land where we could actually build? And we met, and then we were told that we'd be creating a precedent. At one stage, he turned around to us and said, but you're not long enough in the area. And I said to him, but my kids are 4th generation. I said, in Castlegar, I said, the man sitting next to me, I said, his family go back to 1750. But we weren't long in the area.
Under CPO law, there is the principle of equivalence. That is, homeowners should be left in the same financial position as when they started. But homeowners say it will be impossible to replace like with like, and the process means they've no hope of ending up the same as when they started.
What happens is you get 10% of the value of your house up to a maximum of 125,000. So I said, right, so here I am, I'm in my 60s, I'm going to get £125,000. So what am I supposed to do with that? So you're supposed to go off and find a place to live. I said, right, if I find a place to live, at what point do I get the balance of my money? Couldn't tell me. And I said, how do I buy a house? And I was told to go get either a mortgage or a bridging loan. And I was saying, are you serious? Asking people in their 60s to go out and get a mortgage or to get a bridging loan.
The state says this road will be fast-tracked and soon 13 years of waiting will come to an end. But homeowners say they're left with a broken community and ongoing uncertainty over what happens next.
Oh, it's really sad. It really is sad, and it's not sad for us who are going to be gone, but it's sad for our neighbours who are going to be left behind.
It's changed my attitude to things. It's broken our heart. And it's the uncertainty. We still don't know where we're going to be. And that's what we need answers to.
They can call it what they like, but it is basically state-sponsored eviction.
Well, to discuss some of the issues raised there, we're joined now by Minister of State at the Department of Transport and Galway East TD, Sean Canny, and Michael Fitzmaurice, Independent TD for Roscommon Galway. And you're both very welcome to the programme this evening. Minister, I'll come to yourself first. And you heard Dee Goggins at the end there saying state-sponsored eviction. When the state is evicting people in their 60s and 70s and not finding somewhere else for them to go in the middle of a housing crisis, it's hard to call it anything else, is it?
Well, first of all, I must say that the 54 families that have been left in limbo for the last 16 years, that is not acceptable. It should not be tolerated. And I think there's a huge amount of lessons to be learned from that. And secondly, I did say prior to Christmas that the first thing we have to do from once we get our planning permission for this road is to deal with the people who have been affected, the 54 families. That should be our next priority. We can get works done, we can get construction done. But the first thing we need to do is to make sure that these 54 families are sorted out as a matter of urgency.
Okay.
And I have spoken to the Chief Executive of the City Council, Chief Executive of the County Council, as well as Chief Executive of TII, who has agreed that this has to be a priority to get these people sorted out. It's going on too long. I know a lot of the people personally myself.
It certainly is, Minister, going on too long, and it's not for want of trying. The homeowners, as you've heard there, have been looking for solutions for years. They've come up with solutions themselves, and they've put them forward, and they've been knocked back again and again. Who's responsible for that? When you say it shouldn't be tolerated, it has been tolerated.
It has been tolerated, but I think it has been tolerated by the process we have been in, the CPO process, and the fact that early compensation has not been paid out, or people haven't been dealt with. I think one of your residents there said, why not buy the houses off us and let them do what they like then with them afterwards? Why didn't they do that initially? And I think we have to look at that for the future, because I certainly, whilst I'm in the Department of Transport, I don't think I could tolerate something like this happening again to people, families around the country. So just for clarity then, you would like a change in the CPO legislation so that there would be early buyout. When your home is put under CPO or put on the route of a major infrastructure project, you get the option to leave immediately. Is that what you're saying? I'm saying that we have to do something on them lines, for the simple reason that a house is your home. Your home is where your family are. I was listening there to somebody who was saying they moved into the house in 1985. I moved into my house with my family in 1982. And that house has full of memories. It has built memories for the last 45 years. So basically what I'm saying is we need to make sure that where there is a family involved, where there's a home involved, that we treat that very differently from land or anything else. We need to make sure that we actually deal with families.
Let's look at what's in front of us right now then, because there's 54 families involved in this instance, and that decision has not yet been made as to where they're going to go. And again, you heard the homeowners saying they've looked, it's the middle of a housing crisis, they've little small bungalows on small plots of land, and that's just not available in Galway. So where will they go? What will the state do to help them?
Well, I think first of all, some of the people in Castlegar have been putting forward a proposal to actually build a little hamlet for them so that the community can remain together. That has been looked at by the local authorities, and I think that's a starting point. But I also believe we can look back all we like. We've made mistakes. The state has made mistakes in this case for sure, and what we need to do is take corrective action as quickly as possible.
All right, I want to bring in Michael Fitzmaurice.
There are discussions going on, and in discussions I will be monitoring progress on them so that we make sure that we get solutions in place and not just talk.
All right, Michael Fitzmaurice, what do you think of all this?
Well, first of all, everybody agrees the necessity of the Galway Outer Bypass. But not alone the 54 people. Over the last 30 years, Sarah, there has probably been 300 to 400 people affected by this, with applications being made, different routes being looked at, and no decisions made. So I think we should be mindful of those people as well. I think that it's very easy to talk about county managers, but unless a county manager has a wallet and has money in their pocket, ironically enough, here in Dublin, on the new underground that's gone out to the airport, there was a group of houses. There was a deal done rapid, and the money would be coming forward. I think that the first thing we need to do...
So you're talking about Dartmouth Square there in the metro and all that. Why do you think there was a difference with what happened in Dublin and how quickly it happened?
Because there was an urgency about it and the wallet was taken out, to push it very clear. I don't know, but what needs to be done, it's not alone the CPOs. The CPO system, yes, if you're going to CPO on someone, you need to deal with it and deal with it rapid. But let's start at the beginning. We start off and look at the Galway Outer Bypass. Early on, it was hit down because of EU legislation, SACs, karstic limestone. There's plenty of that in Ireland. Now we're moving in closer to the city. But as you go along in the line of drawings, in the line of doing environmental studies, things should be worked parallel. It's taking us forever. We're pathetic at doing major infrastructural projects. On top of that, on board Planola, there should be a deadline of a year, no more than a year, that they make a decision. They cannot be sitting on their hands for 3 to 4 years and leaving people wondering. In Galway, people couldn't downsize, they couldn't sell, they could do nothing. And I believe that the whole process, should be probably 3 years and be ready to build then. And ironically enough, the building part of it, and the builders around the country, or the road infrastructural guys, 2 years to blow it out, while we're 13 years messing about in paperwork.
OK, and Minister, I want to come to yourself finally then, and you said this needs to be dealt with urgency. What does that mean for the homeowners that I spoke to and the 50 or so other homeowners still waiting for news? When will they be given a date as to when they're going to have to move out? When are they going to get their money? And where are they going to go?
Well, first of all, just on what Michael has said there, he will know well that we have changed the procedures, albeit in the last year, in relation to doing some of these processes concurrently, and I agree wholeheartedly with him. And yet we're coming to the simplest part of the job, which is the construction. So that is true. And coming from a construction background, I know that from once the builder goes in, everybody will stand back. In relation to the 54 residents that are there, and their dwellings and the families, the engagement has commenced. And what I want to do is to see engagement to make sure that we can get these people sorted out at the earliest possible date. And
what does that
Michael
mean?
is right.
Would they be waiting for over a decade? When will they get a date to tell them what's going to happen with their lives?
No, what's going to happen is engagement is now happening with these people, in meaningful engagement. Money will be made available. We have to make it available because we have made this project one of the critical infrastructure projects that we need to get going. I expect construction will start in 2028. So therefore we need now to deal with the people who have been left in limbo for the last 16 years.
We have to leave it there,
gentlemen. It cannot be tolerated any longer.
Thank you so much for joining us on the programme this evening. I appreciate your time. Thank you, Michael.